The night air in Paris was thick with the scent of rain, and the dim glow of streetlights barely pierced the creeping fog. In a small apartment in the city's Latin Quarter, a man sat at his desk, his thin fingers tracing the spine of a well-worn book. Issei Sagawa had spent his life consumed by a hunger, an insatiable craving that had plagued him since childhood. But tonight, that hunger would finally be sated. Renée Hartevelt was everything Sagawa was not. She was radiant, intelligent, confident, a Dutch student at the Sorbonne, with a love for poetry and languages. To Sagawa, she was the embodiment of beauty, the kind of woman he had always desired, but could never truly possess. He had spent weeks convincing her of his harmlessness, drawing her into his world with poetry and promises of intellectual discourse. She trusted him. That trust would be her undoing. On June 11, 1981, Sagawa invited Renée to his apartment under the guise of studying German poetry together. She arrived unaware of the loaded rifle resting nearby. As she read aloud, her voice laced with the effortless grace of a woman who had never known fear, Sagawa raised the gun and pulled the trigger. The shot rang out, muffled by the heavy books and drapes surrounding them. A strange calm settled over Sagawa. His hands trembled, but not with regret. His hunger had guided him here, and now he would finally indulge. He reached for a knife and began to cut, tasting flesh for the first time. It was not just consumption, it was possession. With eating her, he believed she would become a part of him forever. For 2 days, Sagawa lived in his dreams, consuming parts of Renée's body, photographing his work like an artist capturing a masterpiece. He delighted in the experiences, savoring the textures, the tastes. He violated her body in ways beyond mere consumption, acting out the darkness of his desires. But eventually, the reality of his crime set in. The stench of decay filled the room, and he realized he could not keep her forever. Under the cover of darknesses, he packed the remaining body parts into suitcases and hailed a cab. His plan was simple: dispose of her in a park known for its shadows and secrecy. But as he struggled to carry his heavy, people started to notice. The police arrived before he could escape, and within hours, the truth unraveled. Sagawa confessed immediately, almost proudly. He detailed everything with a chilling lack of remorse. French authorities deemed him legally insane and unfit for trial, sending him to an asylum instead of prison. For a time, it seemed justice had been served. But fate had a different plan. In 1984, because of legal issues and pressure from his powerful family, Sagawa was sent back to Japan. The Japanese courts couldn't punish him because important case files were missing, so they had to let him go. And so, a killer who not only admitted to his crime, but even took pride in it, was free to walk among people again. Sagawa became famous in the media. He wrote books about his crimes, gave interviews, and even acted in adult films, making money from the horror of what he had done. People were both disgusted and curious, turning him into a shocking kind of celebrity. But over time, people lost interest. He became lonely, poor, and sick. In the end, his body grew weak and thin. An ironic fate for a man who had once wanted nothing more than to eat others. In November 2022, at 73 years old, Issei Sagawa died. There was no big news, no attention, just a quiet end to a life that had once shocked the world. But his story, like a terrible hunger that controlled him, would never truly be forgotten.